Let me start with something that sounds uncomfortable. Most millionaires are not created during good times. They are created during bad ones. That feels wrong, doesn't it? Because when markets are rising and headlines are optimistic and everyone feels confident, that feels like the moment wealth is being created. But history tells a different story. Real wealth is rarely built when everyone feels safe. It is built when uncertainty forces people to act. Think about this for a moment. During booms, people talk about opportunity. During crises, people talk about survival. And survival decisions are where wealth quietly changes hands. This video is not about celebrating crises. Crises are painful. They cause job losses, stress, fear, and real hardship. But they also expose how the system really works. And once you see that clearly, you stop fearing downturns blindly and start understanding why the biggest fortunes are often born in the darkest moments. Let's start with the illusion that keeps most people stuck. Booms feel productive. You check your account, the numbers are higher, your assets are up. It feels like progress. But most of that progress is not real wealth. It's price inflation, not value creation. Let me give you a simple story. Imagine two people. Person A buys a house in a booming market. Prices are rising fast. Everyone is optimistic. They feel rich because the value keeps going up. But they didn't buy it cheaply. They didn't buy it with margin of safety. They bought it at peak confidence. Now imagine person B. They sit out the boom. They look boring. They look cautious. People say they missed out. But here's the truth. During booms, competition is extreme. Everyone wants the same assets. Returns are compressed. Risk is hidden. By the time the average person feels confident enough to invest, the easy money is already gone. Booms reward people who were positioned before the boom started. Most people arrive late. Booms don't create many new millionaires. They mostly make existing asset holders feel richer on paper. The real game starts when confidence disappears. Crises don't destroy value. They destroy belief. This is one of the most misunderstood ideas in finance. When markets crash, people think everything is broken. But let's slow this down. Factories don't disappear overnight. Land doesn't vanish. Skills don't evaporate. What disappears is confidence. Confidence that prices will recover. Confidence that jobs are safe. Confidence that tomorrow will look like yesterday. Let me give you an example. In 2008, during the financial crisis, perfectly good businesses were sold at massive discounts, not because they stopped producing value, but because owners needed liquidity. Banks called in loans. Credit froze. Cash became oxygen. People sold not because they wanted to, but because they had to. This is the key difference. Booms are driven by choice. Crises are driven by necessity, and necessity creates mispricing. That is where opportunity lives. Every crisis creates a line. On one side are people who need money, on the other side are people who have money. This divide determines everything. Let's make this real. Imagine two families during a recession. Family one has high debt, mortgage stretched, car loans, credit cards. When income drops, panic sets in. They don't ask, is this a good time to sell? They ask, how do we survive the next 6 months? Now family two, lower debt, emergency savings, liquidity. They feel stressed too, but they have time. Time to wait, time to choose, time to negotiate. Crises reward time. Liquidity is not just money, it is freedom of decision. Millionaires are not created because people suddenly become brave. They are created because some people are not forced to sell. Let's walk through history slowly. After the Great Depression, people who bought land and businesses at distressed prices built generational wealth. After the inflation crisis of the 1970s, those who owned hard assets preserved purchasing power while savers were destroyed. After the dot-com crash, capital shifted from hype to real cash flow businesses. After 2008, property, stocks, and private assets were sold at fractions of previous prices. Here's the pattern. Crises reset expectations. Things that felt too expensive suddenly feel too risky. And when fear dominates, prices overshoot to the downside. This is not about intelligence. Many people knew assets were cheap. But knowing is not enough. You need liquidity. You need emotional control. You need patience. History doesn't reward prediction. It rewards positioning. Most people lose money in crises for one reason. They react emotionally. This is not a character flaw. It's human wiring. Fear narrows thinking. Loss feels unbearable. Selling feels like relief. Imagine watching your savings fall every day. You tell yourself, I'll sell now and buy back later. But later never feels safe. So people sell low and wait for clarity. The problem is this. Clarity never comes at the bottom. The bottom feels terrifying. By the time things feel safe again, prices are already higher. The wealthy don't eliminate emotion. They design systems that prevent panic. Rules, cash buffers, long time horizons. This is why crises punish reaction and reward preparation. Debt is what turns downturns into disasters. In good times, debt feels smart. In bad times, it becomes a weapon. Every crisis reveals who borrowed future money to fund present comfort. When income falls, debt doesn't care. Payments are still due. This forces selling. Not because assets are bad, but because leverage removes choice. Those without debt wait. Those with debt liquidate. This is how wealth transfers. Not through brilliance, through structure. Crises lower barriers. Things that were impossible during booms become accessible. Businesses can be acquired cheaply. Skills become valuable. Risk premiums expand. Many entrepreneurs start companies during downturns, not because times are good, but because competition disappears. Talent becomes available, rents fall, expectations reset. Crises are brutal, but they are also clearing events. They remove excess and reward fundamentals. Most people ask during crises, how do I survive? Wealth builders ask, how do I position? This is not optimism, it is structure. They assume pain will happen. They plan for volatility. They avoid forced decisions. Patience becomes an asset, and patience compounds. This is not about timing markets. It's about preparing during calm periods, reducing unnecessary debt, building liquidity, understanding cycles. Crises are not rare accidents. They are features of the system. Those who understand this stop fearing volatility and start respecting it. Millionaires are not created by excitement. They are created by clarity under pressure. Booms make people feel confident. Crises force people to act. You cannot control when the storm comes, but you can decide whether you are a forced seller or a patient buyer. That is what Capital Unlocked exists for, not to scare you, not to predict crashes, but to help you understand how wealth actually moves when fear takes over. Because history is clear, crises don't destroy opportunity, they concentrate it. And those who understand the system are never surprised by who benefits.